Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to my Beautiful Nights channel. For this video, I'm going to show you guys a necklace I'm working on using the Czech Beads exclusive monthly subscription box. If you did not get this box, I will link it down there below in the description bar. And I am using July's box, but if you're watching this at a later time and can no longer get this, you can get this up until the end of July 31st, 2024. But if you're watching sometime after, you can get the next box to do the next project along with me if you want, alright? So, anyways, this is July's box. The theme is called Sea Tail, and this box is awesome. It's a total summer box. There are so many amazing beads in this box, and when I opened it, I asked you guys in the opening video, what would you like me to do? A weaving project or stringing? Now, weaving is my favorite thing to do in jewelry making. I'm totally obsessed with it. How things come along and fit together like little puzzle pieces. And you guys told me that you would, some of you told me you would like weaving, some said you would like stringing, some said it didn't matter what I made. As long as I made something, you're pretty much happy. And so I first tried weaving something together, and I was just not happy what I was coming up with. It was not that exciting. And so I thought, you know, maybe I should really do stringing, because there's so many amazing focal beads here, and then we have smaller beads. Maybe I should do some kind of a stringing project. And so I sat down, and as usual, I started with process of elimination. What beads don't go with this in my head? And for me, some of the first beads were like these hearts here. I felt like this didn't really go. They're beautiful, but I decided no against those, and I decided against the yellow ones because these are the only yellow ones in the kit. And so I took those out, and I really love these pink. I love the Lucerna bicones so much. They're one of the coolest beads here for weaving with, but they're also, I just love the shape of them. They're awesome beads. And so I love this color. This is like a dyed pink. I really wanted to use these, and I thought it looked amazing with these here, but I ended up eliminating them because it was the only pink bead here, and we have a lot of other shades. So there's several shades of blues, and there's a couple turquoise. So I eliminated those, right? And then I thought, well, if I'm making a necklace, I love this. This is my favorite focal bead. The boat. It's so cool. And I love these. These are probably my second favorite. And then the fish would probably be my third favorite. But I just love these so much. The color, the shape, they're gorgeous. And so I came up with a necklace, but it wasn't long enough. And I ended up realizing, because I used these, and I didn't use the blue bicones, you see. There's two shades. There's a dark and there's light. I didn't have them in here. And I didn't have these in here. But I was going with the turquoise look, and I had the fish. So I had these three focals with this turquoise. I didn't use this one because they're too close. But they're not the same. And I just wanted one of them. So it was one or the other. So I just went with that one. But what I noticed is with all the other beads that I had, like these here stood out, but all the other beads were either a round or oval fire polish shape. There was like not really any texture, and it was just not interesting. Like the beads were pretty, but it was not looking good together. And so I realized I have to get rid of the turquoise. I know I'm a turquoise freak, but I think I should go with the blue because it just makes more sense with all the beads that are here together. So I ended up eliminating these. And if you want, you can use these. Maybe you have beads in your stash. I try to stick to what I get in the kit and not use what I have in my stash. I do use seed beads for my stash, but pretty much everybody has those. But I try to make it so that everybody can make what I'm making. So I eliminated those, even though those were my favorite. And I eliminated the turquoise because they match that. And I ended up eliminating the fish because these are green, and it kind of didn't go with this to me, because there's like different shades of light blue, like a capri blue. And so I was down to these beads, and what I have over here, as you can see, I really wanted to use these fish. And I do have charms here, as you could see. I was wanting to do the fish here, okay, and then I would have to do the snail at the top, but then I would be having, instead of having glass, metal, which makes sense, it would be glass on top of glass. And just, these were so big. These are longer than the pendant, so it just kind of looked weird. And I asked my trusty advisor, and he was like, eliminate the fish. It just looks too weird. And like, I think you're right, I really want to use it, but it looks weird. So I took that out, and then I had these. And so there's several different black beads here, and I decided on using 2 black beads. The 6mm matte Czech Fire Polish beads, and the black AB, which is this here, and I just had 5 left over. So I used those, and I really wanted to use the hematite, but I ended up deciding against it because I already had a lot of dark going with the 4mm iris, rainbow iris beads. So I eliminated those. And I eliminated these because it just kind of looked strange with those. And I'm like, well, I don't think the teardrops are going to look great. I really wanted to do the fish. But before I go to that, I'm going to go back to this. I thought it would be weird if I did white because it's such a small amount of white. So I was really going, you know, with like the flow of the design. And like, we already have black. I'll just eliminate that too. There's only 10 of them. Now the fish. I put this on a head pin. And after I did, I realized, oh my gosh. I should have used an eye pin because I could have put the little fish right down here at the bottom. It would have made this longer. And maybe actually if I did this, if I elongated my pendant, maybe I could have used the big fish beads that I wanted to use so bad. But I could have done this. Now I can't cut it up and redo it, but I decided to just leave it the way it is. Okay. But that's another option. If you use a eye pin or bead, or not beading wire, if you use metal wire, a 20 gauge wire or 24 gauge wire, you can add the little fish in underneath of this shell coin bead. Okay, that was another option I realized after I did this. Okay, so that's why I have what I come up with here. And so I used these, but I didn't need all of them. I think there was 25 and I used 20. And I used both of these, and I really realized, you know, I wanted to do the turquoise so bad, but I realized there was too much round and oval shapes, and I needed more texture, so I knew I needed to bring the bicones in, and when I did that, it made the piece so interesting looking because it's a different shape. So those are Lucerne bicones. They're really awesome beads, and I wanted to use all 4 of the snails. But because of how I have the charms here, I just think this looks better to have the glass charm and then the metal, the glass metal. And also when I had these in here, because I did have these in here, it did not look right. It was kind of weird. So I just went on what I thought looked best. Okay, so there is how I came up with this design. Now I'm going to go over this with you guys. This is a long necklace, but if you want, you can make this shorter. I do really like long necklaces, and I'm not going to put a clasp in it. I made a necklace like this recently. I think it was that one. I'll put a picture up of what I'm talking about. That was a project made with the Czech Beads exclusive box. I love that necklace so much. It's really cool. And you just slide it right over your head and it looks so cool. Anyways, you can have this shorter if you want. And if you do decide to make it shorter, you could probably make a bracelet with the rest of the beads here. And put the little snail charm and the fish in the bracelet if you wanted to. If you wanted to make a matching bracelet. And you could probably use some other beads that I didn't use. But here's my necklace. So let's go over the necklace. I did have more patterning in this, and it just looked like a blur to me. Like, it wasn't interesting. It was, the colors were pretty mixed together. The colors are beautiful. But because of the patterning that I had, it was just too blendy. And I've always had this thing about making patterns and colors pop by how they're used. And so I did a color blocking technique with a patterning technique, which I don't usually do very often. And so to make it where it wasn't all blendy together, I've done this. Yeah, that necklace I just showed a picture of. I did patterning at the bottom, like I had sections at the bottom. I explained it in the video of how I came up with it, and then so I have this section here that's in the front, Okay, and then the back is a continuous pattern. So I decided to do color blocking to make this look better. And so I also have ombre because I did color blocking with 5 black here, going to the capri blue, 5 again, and then 5 of the what looks like sea glass beads. This is color blocking. It's large sections of the same color, same type of bead, same kind of bead, strung in a section. So I call this color blocking, okay? And I really wanted to do 4 beads actually, and do a charm. So there, if this was 4 beads, there would be a charm here, 4 beads here, charm in the middle, 4 beads here, charm in the middle, and then my pendant at the bottom. But it was so far out that when I put it around my neck, because this is a long necklace, I don't remember if it's like, it could be between 26 and 30 inches, this necklace. I'm not totally for sure because I came up with so many different designs and I was measuring as I went on, but when I got down to the end, I just gave up on measuring it. But anyways, the charms that were up here, they would flip to the inside of the necklace. They wouldn't dangle on the outside because this was pretty much vertical. So I realized, well, there goes that plan. So I just did 5. There's 10 of these in a bag. So I did 5 on one side, again, 5 on one side, 5 on the other. And again down here. There was 10 of these, 10 of those, and 10 of those, okay? So I just put those beads in, and then I brought my charms down here, and I just evenly spaced them out, and that's why I got what I got, because things didn't work, but other things did work, so I had to go with what worked, okay? So I am using From My Stash seed beads, and I am using... So I got these seed beads a long time ago at Walmart. They were sold in rectangle tubes. I love them. They're permanent. They stay this color. If you break the bead, it is this color inside. They're not coated. And I just love this seed bead. Now the thing is, they're not uniform. There are uniform ones in here. You have to go through them and pick them out. But they're not really like 11-ohs. They seem more like 10-ohs. But they are awesome. So anyways, I use these as my little spacer beads. See my patterns. This just gave it more texture. It made it more interesting, add more metallic to it, because the only thing that was metallic was the charms. So it just made it all around more interesting. You can see how I use them throughout here. Alright, so let's go into the patterning of how I did this. So here is the pattern for the back of the necklace. Okay? And I was just playing around and I came up with this pattern. Like, I like this, but I need to stop and go pay attention to the larger beads first. So I had this pattern laid out on a necklace design board, you know, with the channels in it. So I had this pattern here laid out because I need to make sure that this point here made sense where this merged into the rest of the necklace. So I went to the larger beads first. So I laid out my charms on my board. Okay, so the pendant, and I just had these laid out. And then the next thing that I did is I took the groupings of the larger beads. So the next larger beads, other than these here, are these 6mm matte AB rounds, and then the 6mm Capri Blue Czech fire polish beads, and the matte 6mm beads. So I laid those out, okay? And then I took the pattern here, and I thought, well, let's put that into this. But if you study this pattern here, you could see that I have the light blue beads. That moved down. I have the light blue beads on the sides of the 5mm AB, and then I have the dark blue bicone breaking it up, and then the pattern repeats again, and then the dark blue bicone again. So I thought, well, I kind of need to alternate the light blue and the dark blue in the front because it's alternated back here. So going back to the front, I have my pendant, okay, and I'm gonna zoom in. I did a wire wrapped loop. This mat is felt, so wire gets caught on it and strings and stuff. Okay, so I did wire wrap loop. I wrapped around 3 times because it looks the fanciest. I did a seed bead on each side, and then I did a 4mm fire polish, and then a seed bead, and then the dark blue bicone, 5mm fire polish, dark blue bicone, seed bead, the 4mm fire polish, a seed bead. Okay, so this right here, that's my pattern. I made sure that I put the seed beads on the sides of the 4mm iris far polish beads because these were just disappearing. They looked so dark, they were disappearing into the design. So to make them pop, I put the metallic seed beads on the sides of them. Okay, and then it's too close. Okay, zoom back out. And then I have my charm, and I used oval jump rings. Excuse me. You can make a round jump ring oval by gently squeezing it in a crimping plier. If you squeeze the cut side of the crimp, if you have that straight and you gently squeeze it in your crimping plier, you have the cut side touching your pliers, it'll form an oval shape. Okay, see? So I did not make these into oval, they are already oval, but if you don't have them, that's how you do it with a round. Okay, so that's my pattern. And then I thought, well, now I need about the same distance of beads for my next charm. So then I did the 6mm matte beads. Okay, and I thought, well, that's perfect. And I put this charm in. It's perfect. The space is perfect. And after the charm, I did wire up loops again on this snail bead. Okay, so after those beads and the charm, I repeated the pattern again. Seed bead, 4mm, seed bead, light blue bicone. This time so I alternated, so I said I had to alternate the colors. So because this is light blue in this bead, I didn't want it to be blendy, so I put the dark blue bicone here. And then I did the light blue over here. Okay, so light blue bicone, 5mm AB, light blue, seed bead, 4mm, seed bead, and then the distance was just right, so I added my last charm, the helm charm. So I did that on both sides. Okay, that pattern on both sides. And then I brought down the 5 Capri Blue 6mm beads, and then I repeated that little pattern again right here, starting with a seed bead. Okay, but again I had to alternate the bicone color, so this was dark blue, light blue, dark blue. Okay, so same goes over here. Okay, dark in the center, light blue bicones, dark blue bicones. Again, seed beads on the sides of the 4mm AB, and I'm going to zoom back out. Okay, and then I did the next grouping of the matte black 6mm beads, and again I made it so it's kind of ombre, so light blue to dark blue to black, and it's also color blocking, so there's a lot going on. But even though it kind of seemed that there's like a lot going on, I repeated the same pattern a lot. So this here is repeated throughout the rest of the necklace. So after this, and then the light blue, and then the seed bead, and the 4mm, and the seed bead. And I did the same over here on this side. Okay? So now it really blends. It all makes sense. So light, dark on both sides. And then I have to slide my beads down here at the back. Okay, this is what I did. My patterning. Now this is a little bit different down here. So this was like, you know, this is what I kept doing throughout this in these sections in between the color blocking sections. But back here, I decided not to do the light blue and dark blue the way that I did down here. I decided to have the light blue like this, okay, with the fire polish and the seed beads, and I would break this up with a dark blue bicone, and then I would do this pattern here again, and then a dark blue bicone. Okay, and I just kept doing that pattern again with a dark blue bicone, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I just kept doing that for the back of the necklace. Okay, so my strings are coming out here, but that's pretty much it. Now you can have this be a long necklace like I'm doing, and you can crimp the back center of the necklace so there's no clasp, or you can make this shorter. So you can make this up, try it on, see if you like it at a longer length, or you can make it shorter, take this out the back, put a little extension chain, and then use the rest of the beads for a bracelet, like I said, with charms. So it's up to you. You have different options. So I just filmed me putting the crimps on and putting this together and realized that it was not recording. So I don't know if the camera stopped recording or if it was me. I went back and I couldn't find the footage. So luckily I did not crimp the tubes yet, and I was just fixing to do it and noticed it wasn't recording. So let's do this over again. Well, for me it's again, for you it's the first time. But I went and I found crimp beads that look like the metallic seed beads I'm using. Basically they are tarnishing seed beads, or tarnishing crimps that look like seed beads. So they blend with all the other beads. See? These are crimps. And I'm just continuing the pattern. So each side I end with a 4mm fire polish. So I'm putting on my crimp, my bicone, because that's how the pattern would continue, and then my crimp. I'm using 2 crimps. And I'm going to take my other side and I'm going to crisscross through these beads. And I'm going to go through maybe an inch or so of beads on each side. And man, I was filming. I was. You know why? Because I remember I looked up at the camera. It was recording. The dog started barking. So yeah, I think my camera stopped recording. I gotta pay attention to that. Okay, so if you go through a seed bead that's kind of tough, right, small hole, hold on to both wires with your pliers and slide it down. That's what I do. So I'm just going to put this on both sides. I'm going to fast forward. It's nothing too hard here. I'm just going to pull my ends each side here. Crimps are so camouflaged that it's kind of hard to see them. I mean, they're in the middle, but like, they're pretty camouflaged. Alright, so I'm just going to get the tension just right, have a little bit of wiggle room, but I don't want it to be too tight. Alright, so that's my wiggle room right there. Okay. Now, I don't want my crimps laying on top of my bicone because it's possible that I go to crimp it and break the bicone. So I'm just going to make sure there's little gaps on the sides there. Okay. And I'm going to crimp one of the beads. Alright. Just like that. We're flattening it. They are crimp beads, so you have to flatten them. They don't work in a crimping plier. You can't fold them because they crack. But if you flatten them, they're just fine, okay? I'm going to move my bead up now a little bit. And then flatten it right here. Okay. I go both sides, left and right. And there it is. It's pretty well camouflaged. Now I have to cut my wires off. Now if you want, before you cut your wires off, you can check your tension. Now it does feel a little tight down here, but I do know that my wire, if you look, there's gaps up here, but this wire is causing it to feel tighter. Like down here it wiggles. So I think once I cut the wire off, I think it'll be just right. Same on this side, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now it's wiggling down here because I was moving with it. So, okay. So I'm happy with it. But if you weren't happy with it, what you do, you can break these crimp beads. They are the cheaper thin-walled ones, like the soft flicks, you can't break those. And the thicker walled crimps, you can't really break them. But since you flatten them, they are easier to break than the folded ones. What you do is you get your crimping pliers, and you use the #1 hole, and you go like this, and you gently crush it, and it will break it open. Do the next one, it'll break it open, and you can reuse the wire and put in new crimps and try it again if you don't get the tension right. and all that. Okay, now I know mine's gonna work because I fiddled with it for a long time, so I didn't have to redo it again. Okay, and there we go. There's just enough wiggle room. Okay, see, I have wiggle room. So then I can, you know, do this. And actually I think I get 4 times because I did a pretty good job. But, yeah, and it doesn't feel really tight. And, oh wow, that's kind of a cool bracelet, huh? Let me see, 3 times, is that too big? That's too big. But 4 times is too small. You have to really tiny hand to get that on. But that would have been a cool bracelet too, huh? Try making a necklace like this with beads from your stash, because we're not using a ton of fancy beads here. You can use whatever charms you want. You can use whatever pendant you want. You're going to need to find 3 different colors of 6mm beads, 10 of each color. You're going to need seed beads. You're going to need 4mm Czech fire polish beads. These were 5mm, but you don't have to use 5. And also play around more with shapes, like use a rondelle, a Chinese rondelle in place of these if you have that. It adds more texture, more interest. It pops more. Yeah, I think you guys can totally remake this, and also you can even try it with a different charm theme. So this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please like this video, leave me a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and make sure you click the bell button so that you get notified whenever I upload new videos, and follow me on my social media sites. I'm on Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. Thanks for watching.